This week has been quite mixed for crypto. Some assets are up, others are down, but the Pump token clearly underperformed the rest. There was a lot of eyeballs on the asset, now that tends to decline. There was a lot of skepticism, probably for good reason. Now we have covered the Pump token on this channel regularly and we have been very skeptical as well. The videos performed like average, so there wasn't necessarily that much attention in YouTube land. But at one point, Pump was one of the most viewed cryptocurrencies on CoinGecko. That has now also changed. Now Pump is over here somewhere at place number 10 or so. The token clearly underperformed. This is Pump relative to Solana. It's not the US dollar chart, it's the performance relative to its benchmark. And the drop from the top to the current price is 65%. Now it's interesting that we saw that much underperformance because the tokenomics don't yet look that bad. The token isn't yet inflating. The supply will grow over time, but so far the supply has been steady. We are at 430 billion tokens and that will grow all the way to 1 trillion, so roughly a 2.5x in the supply over the next 5 years. But there hasn't been any change in the supply since launch. Now many people got disappointed, not just with the Pump launch, with the token itself, but also with the platform, because it's a player versus player game, right? Meme coins don't create any value. It's all just about who can time the market better. And there's a few players that know how to play the game and the vast majority of players loses. Thus, capital concentrates towards those few wallets. And with that concentration, the platform tends to shrink as the losers simply just exit. That's also what we can see in the statistics. So this is the number of deployed transactions in the Pump.fun ecosystem, and that peaked at the beginning of the year and since then is declining very rapidly. Pump.fun used to grow extremely quickly. At one point, 43% of all decentralized exchange volume on the Solana chain was just Pump.fun related. But again, since the end of last year, since the beginning of this year, this is changing rapidly. Now it's only 13%. There is a dedicated decentralized exchange for Pump.fun. That's PumpSwap, and that is actually growing. Here is the total value locked in US dollars, and here is the same in Solana tokens. So this tends to go up. Maybe there's a bit of a slowdown recently, but in general, the trend is positive. The question though is always about risk versus reward. How much potential upside is there really if we buy an asset that's currently trending down, if you buy the Pump token? Because already today, the Pump token is the second largest trending token on the Solana chain. It's got $14.5 million worth of liquidity, yet only 920 wallets interacted with the token in the last 24 hours. There are now almost 60,000 wallets that hold some Pump tokens. But momentum on the chain is clearly coming down. On the left side, we see the number of first-time traders versus recurring traders over time. This tends to just decline. On the right side, we see the number of token transactions per day. Same thing, it tends to decline. Here's the trading volume. So on the left in US dollars, on the right normalized to 100% based on different wallet sizes. So we segregate over here. And with the launch, the big money was heavily involved. But now it's retail that's trading the Pump token on chain. We talked about this in prior videos and we anticipated the price decline of Pump. Simply, all the wallet cohorts tended to offload their Pump tokens over time. So that's true for the small retail investor. That's what we see in the left chart. That's all the wallets that hold at least 350,000 Pump tokens. At the current price, it's roughly $1,000 worth of the token. In the middle, we go at 10x in minimum holding. So that's now $10,000 worth of the token. On the right, another 10x. So $100,000 worth of the token. All wallet cohorts tended to sell the Pump token quite consistently. And now in the last 2-3 days, this tends to finally stabilize. All wallet cohorts now just keep on holding. And so that then begs the question, what happens with Pump? It's now at a market cap of roughly 1 billion. Most trading volume doesn't happen on chain anymore, but on the centralized exchanges led by MEXC. There's 57 million worth of trading volume on the spot market, but the perpetual futures market is actually larger. Over here, we've got 375 million worth of trading volume. So really, the price discovery now happens on the perps, not on the spot market anymore. And so if in the spot market, we don't see any buying or selling net, then it's the perpetual futures that move the price up and down. And most of those perp traders are betting on rising prices. So the funding rate is positive. The longs have to pay the shorts in order to get more price exposure. And so as the price goes down, it's of course mainly the longs that get liquidated. The trading volume on the perpetual futures is going down as well. And so is the open interest. So the amount of bets on the price, which currently is at around 400 million, which is relative to the market cap quite a lot, right? It's 40% of the entire market cap. That's just open interest. That's just leverage on the price. And so so there isn't any more sell pressure from the spot market. The question is, will there be more sell pressure from the perpetual futures market? Will open interest continue to go down? If the answer is yes, then the spot market is likely going to follow. The price will go down as well. But there will be an end to this decline, right? The open interest won't go down to 50 million or to 20 million. We'll probably bottom out at around 3 or 200 million. It's something like this. And so there is a point in time where it might make sense to speculate on a rising price of Pump again. Because since spot isn't selling anymore, we also see a stabilization in the price somewhat, right? Again, this is Pump relative to Solana. We are not going down for the last 3 to 4 days anymore. And when something has declined that quickly in such a short period of time and is then stabilizing, the potential bounce, the potential upside is of course quite high as well. At a market cap of 1 billion, it wouldn't be completely unreasonable to potentially see 1.5 billion, maybe even 2 billion again at some point. I don't expect that there will be a lot of long-term investors into a rally like this, but I do expect potential short-term manipulation. Not everything around Pump.fun is bad. Pump Swap continues to grow quite consistently. The issue was simply that it launched with way too high of a market cap and that short-term leverage built up very quickly that then started to deflate. But this might turn around. It's all about being contrarian. It's about doing the opposite of what most people do, right? The market tends to go the way of maximum pain, and currently everybody and their grandmother is super bearish on Pump. Everybody thinks that Pump will go to zero, and maybe that's the time to potentially then buy. I don't have a crystal ball either, but I do think now is a bad time to sell Pump. I do think at some point Pump will stabilize again. The team is still very active. The general problem with crypto as a whole is that there's more and more token emissions. So a lot of projects launch and the founders want to pay themselves. The early investors, the venture capitalists want to pay themselves. Maybe there was also some marketing expenses. So some YouTubers might get an allocation and then sell the token. And the retail investors have to support all of that selling for the prices to stay stable. This here is the weekly token emissions of the entire altcoin market that's tracked on this website, Tokenomics.ai. And it's pretty much above 600 or at least $500 million every single week. If the inflows into crypto are slower than that, then the altcoins have to go down, at least relatively speaking. For example, have a look at this here. This is the DeFi protocol 1inch. So it's a decentralized exchange aggregator. It got a lot of usage in the past. But the problem is that the circulating supply grew massively as well, right? From 100 million to now 1.4 billion. And that then leads to 1inch doing much worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. This is 1inch relative to Ethereum. Have a look at this. This is Optimism, right? A leading layer 2 scaling solution on top of Ethereum. It started out with 214 million tokens and it's now at 1.6 billion tokens. And that's the long-term chart relative to Ethereum. And so there are several consequences from this, right? We cannot afford to own a lot of different altcoins because the vast majority of altcoins underperforms Bitcoin and Ethereum most of the time because of that token inflation. But also picking a single winner here and there is very hard because, again, most tokens do worse. So it's like picking the needle in a haystack. Some people simply just stick with Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana then and forget the rest of the altcoin market. But I actually think there's an opportunity here because if we have constant underperformance, we can bet on that. We can bet on the underperformance to continue and make money from that. So instead of getting this performance by buying 1inch, we flip this around. We bet on falling prices of 1inch and bet on rising prices of Ethereum at the same time. So this is the same chart, just flipped. And this is simply using decentralized finance to do exactly that setup. We are betting on Ethereum to outperform 1inch. Same here for Optimism, right? Instead of buying Optimism, we are just betting on falling prices of Optimism relative to Ethereum. So in the last year, that position performed 150% roughly. Now try to make 150% in a year just by plain simply buying an altcoin. It's much easier said than done. Yes, there are some outliers. There is this Aerobot and this DRGN and this SNSY token, but the vast majority of altcoins is just going down. And so instead of trying to find the next arrow butt, I think it's better to just flip this around and everything that's red becomes green and everything that's green becomes red. So then we've got the odds in our favor. We don't try to pick the needle in the haystack. Instead, we bet on the haystack, on the vast majority, to do poorly. And again, there is a fundamental reason for that underperformance, right? It's all of those insiders selling all the time. The venture capitalists, the team, etc. Maybe even the users of the platform that get incentivized in tokens to use the platform. Have a look at the altcoin market cap relative to Bitcoin in the last 3.5 years. It underperformed by 75%. And if you flip that around, we've got an outperformance of almost 300%. So this is now Bitcoin divided by the altcoin market cap. I'm following this strategy already for quite a while. What we see over here is my portfolio performance in the last 4 years roughly relative to had I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin dollar cost averaging is in gray and my portfolio line is that one in black. This is monthly data out of my personal Excel sheet. We're now at month 44. I did this mainly with borrowing and lending platforms like Aave and Venus Finance, but recently I changed to perpetual futures and this is even more productive. I started the test 2.5 months ago with 40k and that turned into 60k, again just in 2.5 months. And so the premium members of this channel asked me, is there maybe a way we can just provide some capital to you and you do those relative valuation trades for us? And so I opened just that. It started 6 days ago, so there's no real sample size yet, but so far it has made 3.5%. I'm happy if we do 10% per month. I don't think we'll make 50% in 2.5 months again. But in general, we are moving in the right direction. And again, it makes a lot of sense, right? Most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. We don't really have to be that scientific about it. If you want to learn how to become a winner in crypto and how to set up those relative valuation trades, where then the VCs and the insiders don't dump on you, but you're actually making money when they are dumping, then feel free to check out all of those tutorial videos, right? There's more than 100 tutorial videos in premium. I'm of course sharing my own trades as well, and then you can simply copy trade and take advantage of those trades as well. There are many opportunities out there, so feel free to check out the community as well. And so if you're an active trader, you can simply sign up for the monthly membership. It's $125 per month. You can watch all the tutorials, you can copy trade me as well. And once you're joining, I will also share my favorite trade. And if that favorite trade doesn't make you money in the first month, I will refund you 100% of that membership fee. So really, you don't really have a risk of joining here. You're either making your money back or it's for free for you. If you are not an active trader though, and you simply just want to allocate capital, you've got more capital than time, then you can sign up for the annual membership. Here you also get 2 months for free, so $250. And with the annual membership, you also get access to the automated copy trading feature, where you can simply just send money to Hyperliquid. So that's the platform that I'm using. And you get the exact same trading performance that I'm getting as well. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.